The Rise of American Cheese, a Lindsay, Wong, and Dilip Rajan production. When most people think of American cheese, they think of the cheese state, Wisconsin, and foods like Kraft, cheddar cheese, cheese pizza, and macaroni and cheese. In general, they think of processed cheese that is cheap and a part of low-class diets.
On the other hand, European cheeses like Munster and ricotta are associated with high-end restaurants and wine and cheese tastings. They seem to be indicative of a higher class. Overall, it seems as though American cheese has extensified and become a common commodity that does not hold the same cultural and social value.
However, despite historical industrialization and extensification, American cheese is now developing cultural value as a status symbol through intensification.
So, how did cheese extensify in the first place? The extensification of cheese was the result of industrialization. Cheese first came to the U.S. when early settlers introduced dairy cattle from Europe to New England colonies. Then the production moved from the household to large factory manufacturing in 1851, when the first cheese factory was built by Jesse Williams, a farmer in New York.
Not only did the mode of production change, but from the 1850s to the 1900s, cheese manufacturing moved from the East Coast to the Midwest due to competition based on fertile land to farm dairy cattle and ability to produce cheese at a larger scale. Since the 1900s, Wisconsin has been known as the cheese state.
As competition became more important, many smaller factories consolidated into fewer but larger factories to increase scale of production.
The result of this industrialization of cheese manufacturing contributed to cheese becoming a commodity in increasingly high demand. The U.S. Department of Agriculture's Economic Research Service conducted a study that showed the consumption of cheese has more than doubled from 12.9 pounds per person per year in 1970 to 26.8 pounds per person in 1994.
Therefore, all of this shows that extensification has occurred because 1. Cheese was produced and distributed at a significantly larger scale due to factory production, and 2. The greater U.S. population is exposed to affordable big brand cheese rather than nuanced regional varieties and flavors due to mass production.
Many commodities lose significance and value because of this extensification and no intensification. However, a growing movement in artisan cheese making allows American cheese to have cultural value today. This movement, beginning in the 1980s, is a reaction to the industrialization of cheese. Artisan cheesemakers make the cheese by hand and usually in small batches. They incorporate regional flavors and aesthetics by using minimally modified milk, embracing environmental factors rather than avoiding them. The product's taste then depends on the maker's sensory judgment.
On the other hand, factory-produced cheese has a consistent and standard taste because of controlled ingredients, high-tech machinery, and hyper-sterilized factory conditions.
So why did people join the artisan cheese movement? And how is American cheese undergoing intensification?
According to cultural anthropologist Heather Paxton, the artisan cheese movement was a part of a Back to the Land movement. It also has patriotic value because it aims to create new American tastes and emphasize the art rather than the craft of American cheesemaking. The regionally specialized nature of artisan cheese lends itself to be described as a terroir food, or a taste of the land, and represents American culture.
The price of artisan cheese is based on the artisan labor, thus making it pricier than big brand cheese. For example, Kraft's sharp cheddar cheese is sold at Fresh Grocer for $2 for $4, while the farmer's cheese sells for $8.99.
Because of its cultural significance and value, artisan cheese enters the elite market for authentic and exotic food among the upper class.
The European Journal for Public Health conducted a study that shows that the lower class eats fattier cheese in greater quantities than the upper class, who instead indulge in low-fat and trendier foods, such as a variety of cheese and wine.
Speaking of cheese and wine tastings can be considered a ritual of the upper class because it shows status and knowledge of cultures. This ritual now incorporates American cheeses.
For example, according to Hook's Cheese Company, an award-winning Wisconsin artisan cheese company, Monterey Jack goes well with Chardonnay, Gamay Noir, Pinot Noir, Riesling, and Rose Blush wines.
The incorporation of American cheese in rituals shows the intensification of American cheese. Therefore, despite all of the mass production and extensification that caused American cheese to lose cultural value, American cheese is now emerging as a status symbol due to intensification.
To make a long story short, you are what you eat.